Right. So, what you guys would have learned at junior cert was you guys would have learned how to draw quadratic equations. Something, something along the lines of this. Let me see. 3x plus 2. Very easy equation, okay? You guys would have learned how to draw that. What shape would that graph be? Can anybody tell me? What shape would an x squared graph be? It's a U-shaped graph, okay? What do we mean by the word roots? What does roots mean? What does roots mean? Where crosses the x-axis. Everybody got that? Roots means where does it cross the x-axis. How would you find out the roots? What's guaranteed about this line here? What's guaranteed about this line here is that the y value is always 0. So we put it equal to 0 because the y value is 0. We solve a quadratic equation, don't we? What's the quadratic equation we get is x plus 2, x plus 1, and then you figure out your two answers are x equals minus 2 and x equals minus 1. Is that cool, you guys? Alright? And long and behold, you find out that it's a U-shaped graph and it cuts the axis twice. It cuts it here and it cuts it here. Everybody cool with that? Now, here's another scenario. Scenario number 2. Once I have this equation, let me see. Okay, how do you find out where this one cuts the axis? Is it U-shaped? It's U-shaped, isn't it? Great. How do you solve this one equal to 0? How would you solve it? X plus 2 and x plus 2. And what's the answers? Why is there only one answer? Why is there only one answer? The graph, it only touches the graph and then comes back up again. Does that make sense? It doesn't go through, does it? Alright. Does every quadratic equation have roots? Why not? Doesn't always cross the axis, does it? I can draw a red one. Does this red one have roots? Does it have roots just by looking at it? Okay. Does it have roots? No. Alright. How does this manifest itself in an equation? I'm about to make an equation that has no roots. I'll show you now. Okay. Once again, y equals 0. Any numbers you can think of that multiply to give you 18 but add to give you 4. What do we normally do when that happens? We normally use the minus b formula. Okay. And can anybody tell me what my a, b, and c values are? A is 1, b is 4, minus b is minus 4, and c is 18. Awesome. Will somebody be so kind as to throw that into the calculator for me? Oh, sorry. Alright. Okay, what you get? How many has got a maths error? Yeah, you didn't make a mistake. You're meant to get maths error. What does maths error mean? There is no answer. Why is there no answer? Because it doesn't cross the axis. There is no roots. Now, this brings me to a key point. How many answers do you usually get in a quadratic equation? You usually get 2 answers, don't you? And this is represented by the plus minus part, isn't it? So, Do you know why it's a maths error? Can anybody tell me? Throw this part into your calculator on its own. No square root sign. Just put 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 18 into your calculator and what you get. 16 minus 72, which is minus 56, okay? You're not allowed to get the square root of a negative number. Can't be done. Square root of a negative number doesn't exist. Now, there are some of you in the class who are currently thinking this. Does anybody know the square root of minus 64? Some people think it's minus 8. Why is it not minus 8? Because when you multiply minus 8 by minus 8, it gives you plus 64. So the square root of 64 is minus 8 and plus 8. The square root of minus 68 or minus any number cannot be done. Is everybody okay with that? Cannot be done. I'll say it one more time. The square root of a minus number cannot be done. It's a math error. Now that brings me to the following question. Do you know the b squared minus 4ac part? This part here. It's known as the discriminant. So the word they use to describe that is discriminant. Alright? So, what happens when b squared minus 4ac is smaller than 0? What happens when it's negative? What just happened a second ago when it was negative? You couldn't get an answer, could you? And what does that answer mean? It has no real roots. Everybody cool with that? What happens when you only get one answer? What should happen here? What happens in here if you only get one answer? It will actually be 0. Because plus or minus 0 is the same thing, isn't it? That's when you get one answer instead of 2. So, when b squared minus 4ac equals 0, there's just one repeating root. Okay? Is that alright? Or 2 repeating roots, however way you want to talk about it. Finally, what normally happens when we do minus b formulas? We usually get a positive answer, don't we? And we usually get 2 separate answers. Would you agree with that? So what can I write for b squared minus 4ac bigger than 0? What usually happens then? 2 real roots. We get 2 answers that are real. Is that okay? Now, if you look at question 1, where is question 1? Here we are. Alright, G is the red one, F is the blue one, H is the green one. Which one has real and distinct roots? Real and distinct mean 2 different real roots. Which colour? Blue. What letter is blue? F. Great. Real and equal roots, which is green. Imaginary roots, or roots that don't exist. G. In the case of real roots, estimate from the graph what the real roots are. So what do you reckon these 2 points are? 1.6 and 4.4, 4.5, somewhere in that area. Cool. Question 1 done. Ooh. Interesting. The curve shows has the equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Find in terms of a, b, and c the coordinates of points a and b. Alright. We're going to skip that one because I did it with the 5th years. And you really don't want to do that this year. Okay? It's not worth it. It's done online. Not worth it. Okay? No, I'm not going to give it to you that Christmas. Right? It's just a horrible question to do straight away. Right, let's go to something a bit easier. Alright. Now what you guys are going to do is you're going to use the discriminant. Can anybody tell me what the discriminant is? What's the formula for the discriminant again? B squared minus 4 AC. Is that okay? Now, B squared minus 4 AC. And if it's real and different, it will be bigger than 0. And if it's real and different, it will be bigger than 0. If it has equal roots, it will be equal to 0, and if it has imaginary roots, it will be less than 0. What I want you guys to do now is I want you to do question 3 and question 6 and tell me what your answers are. Just do b squared minus 4ac or both of them. Okay? Very easy. First of all, is part 3 a U-shaper or an N-shaper? It would be a U-shaper, wouldn't it? Okay, great. Now let's do b squared minus 4ac to see whether it has real roots, imaginary roots, or whatever. Okay, so b squared is going to be 2 squared, 4ac is going to be 4 times 3 times minus 1. Remember, the a value is 3, the b value is 2, the c value is minus 1. Lob it on to the calculator, we're going to get 4 plus 12, which is 16. 16 is bigger than 0, which means what? Real and different. Is that okay? If they're real and equal, and when it touches the graph, it's actually 2 roots, just that they're real and equal. So, what this means is that the U-shaped graph will hit the x-axis twice. Alright? For question 6, is it U-shaped or N-shaped? It's U-shaped again. Okay? We know it's U-shaped because it has an x squared at the end. What's the a value? 1. The b value? And the c value? 25. Put it into the calculator. What happens this time? 100 take away 100 is? So b squared minus 4ac equals 0, doesn't it? So what does that mean for my graph? 2, here, 2 equal real roots. Is that okay? 2 real and equal roots. Everybody on board so far? Alright. Yes? And remember we went to the last part and we were talking about the minus b formula. And if it's positive, you end up with 2 answers. If it's 0, you only end up with 1 answer. And if it's negative, you end up with no answers. So that's why you're using that. Okay? It was in the intro. Alright, you guys are now on to question 4. Have a look. One sec. Oh, for God's sake. Nope. I did that. Alright. Undo that. Undo that. Undo that. No. There we go. So we're doing question 4. Alright. What can we say about question 4? U-shaped or N-shaped? Huh? U-shaped, aren't they? So something like this. Okay. No bother. U-shaped graph. Okay. Sketch done. Given that this is positive for all values of x, what does it mean by positive? Huh? Negative. Yeah, it doesn't go negative. If it doesn't go negative, what does that mean? Only touches the graph. once. It's not allowed to go negative. It has to hit the x-axis and float back up again. Does everybody see that? So what description does that fit? B squared minus 4ac equals 0. Off you go. Put in A, B, and C and solve it. Because it's not allowed to go negative. So A is 3, B minus K, C is 12. So we get minus K squared 4 times 3 times 12. Do we get a K squared minus 144? What do you get from that? K plus 12 and K. Oh, sorry guys, one thing. Positive. So it's not allowed to be negative. So sorry guys, I made a slight mistake here, believe it or not. It can be this low, or it can be above the axis as well, can't it? Would you agree it can also be above the axis? Why can it be above the axis? Huh? It's never going to be negative, is it? So technically that's a less than or equal sign. Now you guys haven't done these yet because these are actually in the, I'm actually doing these with my 5th years right now. A chapter further on, chapter 12. So technically speaking, your two values are going to be K equals minus 12 and then K equals, what's it, K equals plus 12. I'm just going to do this because you'll understand that at a later date. You draw a separate graph for that. You're not expected to understand this, by the way, so I won't ask you this until we've done the chapter. It's in between because it's meant to be smaller than 0. So it's any K value in between minus 12 and plus 12. Any K values in between minus 12 and plus 12. Don't mind that, you won't be asked it. It's in the wrong place in the book. You shouldn't be asked this early. In the wrong chapter, okay? Let's move on. You got the gist though. Question should not be there. Now, question 6, guys. This question should be here, and you should be able to do it. What does equal roots mean? B squared minus 4ac will equal 0. So do it. B squared minus 4ac will equal 0. A equals k squared. B equals 2 into k plus 1. 2. C equals 4. Okay, and you gotta do that out yourselves. Because it's equal roots. Okay. 5 times 5 times 1, 3, 4, now down to 6. Now, 2k plus 2 squared minus 4 times k squared times 4 equals 0. 2k plus 2 multiplied by 2k plus 2, same as 4k squared plus 4k plus 4k plus 4 minus 16k squared equals 0. Minus 12k squared plus 8k plus 4 equals 0. Multiply both sides by minus. You get 12k squared minus 8k minus 4 equals 0. Divide by 4. Solve it. Reference number is minus 3, so it's going to be 3k squared minus 3k plus 1k, take away 1. Then it's going to be 3k into k minus 1 plus 1 into k minus 1. K plus 1, k minus 1, and it's what Liam said. K equals 1. or 3k plus 1 equals 0, 3k equals minus 1, k equals minus 1/3. Alrighty. So, what you're going to notice here is you guys are going to have the following questions for homework. You're going to have the rest of question 3. You're going to have question 3. You're going to have 6. Oh, no, sorry, not 6. You're going to have 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, and 9. And what's the good news about 5, 7, 8, and 9? They're all done online, lads. So, lads, there's zero excuse for not having the homework done. You got me? They're all done in the 5th year playlist. If you go to the playlist, you'll see 5th year 2020. It's exercise 2.2. You still got 5 minutes of class. Start now. It's 5th year playlist 2020, and they're all done for you online. Your homework will take you 16, 17 minutes. Okay? What page is this on? 58?